Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO 44 coming at you with another video. All right. So, what are we talking about? Well, unfortunately, injuries. injuries. Well, we could start with LaMelo Ball. He had some type of ankle injury today. Break, to be exact. Don't know how bad it's going to be, but he's definitely going to be out, probably for the rain. I think it's safe to say he's out for the season. That's not even a question. Question is how much of next season does he miss? And I think some. I think some. So I'm not gonna play doctor. Last time I did that, I mistaken an injury for something that it wasn't. But yeah, man, that's one injury. And of course, we got to talk about the Laker injuries. Of course, I'm a Laker fan, so if this turns into a Laker video, don't be surprised. I just figured I'd start off by letting everybody know the unfortunate news about LaMelo, but Lakers are really the big injury news in the NBA. Outside of that, it's us and our problems with LeBron James's foot. And we've known it's been a problem for a while. It turns out he has multiple foot ailments. Both feet were bothering him, but I don't think this is a situation where you can look at his body and say, you know what, oh, he'll just heal up and that's it. We're just at a point where you got to understand the guy has played more basketball than anybody else who's ever played. Not just in this era, but in any era. He's played more minutes. And so it's like, is he ever going to be 100% again? Of course not. He probably hasn't been 100% in about 8 years. But at this point, the injuries are piling up. And the type of injuries that he's sustaining, you have to wonder if it's going to affect his explosiveness, his ability to move, some of the different things that just make LeBron James. You start having, foot injuries and ankle, anything involving your wheels. It starts becoming a question whether or not you're going to be able to do it the level you've been doing it. Now, how long do we know before the time length in regards to LeBron James? I would imagine we'll probably know what's going to happen within the next 24 hours because I don't think he's going to want to sit around and not know what his future is like. If there's anything that needs to be done, I'm pretty sure they will want to get it done sooner than later. If he can come back and play, he's going to want to be able to get that information out to us quickly. So I don't think it's going to be too long. They're going to want to get multiple opinions on what it is that they're looking at. But it's all pessimistic in regards to him, and we're just gonna have to assume he's gonna be out. They say indefinitely. Safe planning says to expect him to be gone to the playoffs. That's safe planning. If you want to go doom and gloom, you could take it all away, but we're just gonna say we don't expect to see him. We don't expect to see him for the rest of the regular season on this channel, and we'll see what comes of it from there. But I guess I come to you guys and I say what I've been mulling over for the last hour or so is I think it's safe to say this team was built to sustain LeBron's injury. I don't think that's going to sound too crazy to too many people when you look at the type of pieces that we picked up, Rui Hachimura, you look at all the length that we have. It looks to me that we had LeBron being removed in mind. And what I'm trying to psych myself into, I don't know if I'm saying believing, but I guess I'm trying to figure out if this is the right way to look at it, is when you consider what the Los Angeles Lakers are about right now, when you consider the fact that they have a whole team full of guys that are young, have yet to develop fully, some of them have yet to be paid fully, that kind of thing. When you look at what the Lakers have, one could psych themselves into saying that even though LeBron James is at what, $50 million, I don't know what his exact number is, but it's up there. You could say if you remove LeBron James from the team and say overpay all of your free agents, then you could psych yourself into believing that you have a full team right now. Is essentially what I'm saying. If you pay Bamba too much money, you pay Rui too much money, you pay all of the players that we have, all of LeBron's $50 million, you could psych yourself into saying that you have a full team. Some GM somewhere would roll this team out as his full team, having given all the money to all the players we have. So what I'm telling you is, I still think there's a decent opportunity for us to look at ourselves as a decent NBA team. Now, I'm not saying you can win a championship like this, but what I'm telling you is, for the rest of the regular season, if we get the most out of everybody we have on our roster, we still have an NBA roster. I look at the team that we just had. Russell Westbrook was eating up $47 million worth of our cap. I could argue our team is fuller right now than it was when we had that issue. When you consider what Russell Westbrook provided, which was a lot of negative on top of his positive, but a lot of negative on top of the fact that he was eating away at your cap, which made it so that you didn't have a whole lot of talent. Because of that, now you look at what we have here. No Russell Westbrook. Replace him with a bunch of these youngsters that we got. And then you remove the 47, so to speak, that LeBron provided, which is not any negative at all in comparison to Russell Westbrook. And his positive supersede Russell Westbrook's positive, obviously. But then when you consider the players that you've replaced in his stead, in Russell's stead, removing him, which is equal to Russell, if you're following me, as it pertains to how much of the cap he's eating, your team is fuller than it was before, minus Westbrook, minus him, if that makes any sense. If anybody's following what I'm trying to say, it's like, all right, if you look at the fullness of the team that we have right now versus the fullness of the team we had before we made the trade, I don't think for 1 second that this team right now with Bron hurt ain't better than that team with Bron healthy. I think it is. I think it's a better team. I think it's a fuller team. I think it can attack you from more angles. I think it defends better. I think you have more of everything. More of everything. And I would rather be us now without Bron than that team with him. That's what I'm telling you. I'm serious as hell, because I legitimately think that we've done that much to make ourselves just a little bit better right now than that team. I really believe that. I really believe that. And that's a scared situation. It's very scared by the fact that LeBron James brings a lot to the table. But I really do think that our team at the beginning of the season just had less of an NBA squad when you consider how our money was divvied out and the roster and the way the talent was leveled out. We didn't have a lot of talent. We did not have a lot of talent. We were running guys out of position because of it. We didn't have certain elements that the game needed. And we still found ourselves in a position to where we're not completely out of the playoff hunt with that team. So what I'm telling you is, okay, Bron's gone, fine. That's horrible. That's beyond horrible. But you still have enough bodies who are good enough NBA pros to where you can get 5 guys out there in the starting lineup and get the production you need, and then get another 5 guys of a bench and still give yourself a good enough NBA production. You should still walk out of there with 120 points in this era. Maybe even more. Now, I'm not telling you you're going to be efficient getting those 120. I'm not saying you're going to stop the other team from getting 125. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just telling you that with what we have, we're better than the Wizards right now. We're better than a lot of these teams right now. So that's what I'm here to tell you. I don't think the Lakers fall off a cliff. And I think it makes sense if you look at it on paper to say that we're still better than we were before we made the trade right now without King. And so we got to just believe that, go forward, and get the most out of the roster. There are people we can use that should be able to help us get that production. Rui Hachimura, I don't particularly know exactly all what he can do yet, but I think this is going to give us an opportunity to find out. And I think this could be a blessing in disguise when you consider the ever so old dynamic of when a guy gets hurt, new guys get opportunities. Well, this is going to give us an opportunity to learn a lot about a lot of new guys we have, and we have nothing but new guys. I'm not saying Bron was taken away from that, because I certainly don't think he did. he provided a stability that allowed us to figure out who those guys were while still knowing we're going to be fine. Without that, now we got to figure out who those guys are and lean on whatever it is we find there. But I'll tell you this. I don't know that this team really needed LeBron James to win these games, some of these games in front of him. I don't know that LeBron had been doing as much to help that team win in the totality of all of these games because that they've been in since making the trades. Because when you consider, obviously you want to give him credit for yesterday's Dallas game. He had all to do with how we attacked them, and I'm not going to use that as an game and as an example. But you consider he hadn't played in some of the other games that these teams have been a part of. You know what I mean? As far as the new team has been a part of, the Beasley Vanderbilt team, he's only been a part of a couple of those games that those guys have been in. Because granted, we didn't have him after the All-Star, right before the All-Star break, in the games that we made after we made the trade. He wasn't a part of those. And in the first couple games back, was he back for us after the All-Star game? I don't, you know what I mean? He was, 5 for 20 in one game? And then the next game was this one. So it wasn't like he was doing all this amazing stuff to help the Vanderbilt D'Angelo Russell team. Nah, they barely know him. They barely play with him. And when he did play, he didn't shoot very well. So the adjustment should not be crazy for them to find ways of winning these basketball games without him. I guess it's one of the other things that I've been thinking about over the last hour or so. It's like, to get up here and how to word it without making it sound like I'm saying we can do everything we need to do without LeBron James. It's just that I think they've built this team after the trades with the intention of being able to win games without LeBron James. I think that's the vision. It should be able to. I think that's what we've learned is that this team didn't need those guys to play well. We said it ourselves in the Golden State game. Bron had a bad game, AD barely shot, and we still blew them out because we were able to get so much out of so many others. And so I still think that's the dynamic. I don't think that changes. Now, granted, Bron's presence provides a great deal of our favorite word, gravity. So it makes it easier for those guys to get their shots, and it makes it harder for them now that the defense is going to be able to hone in on them. But it's still a lot of them. That's the beauty of this roster. You still got to deal with 7, 8, 9 different people that can all drop 10 or more points on you. So that's what makes our team so dangerous. And we still have a superstar on the floor by the name of Anthony Davis, of whom's going to have to prove, himself at that level once again and have it translate to winning, which he showed us he can definitely do against Dallas. So I don't know that our team was Bron-centric. I don't think that. I don't think that right now. I think that we're kind of more so leaning on the rim protection and the rebounding ability of Anthony Davis and Vanderbilt. And I think that's kind of where ultimately our wins and losses are going to come from, whether Bron's out there or not. I really believe that. Now, he helps a great deal by, like I said, providing us stability with continuity, making sure people get the ball properly, making sure we get buckets in the paint. Bully ball is what he was helping us with in the last game. But the 3-ball hasn't fallen since basically he broke the record. And so it's a lot of things that it's like, all right, defensively, he's helped some, but is he really known as the lockdown guy? Is he the guy that you just have to put on the floor for defense at this point? Nah, that's not. No, you're going to find certain lineups where you're going to be just fine without him defensively right now, for sure. So, how I guess the best way to word it is I still think we're going to win games. I still think we're going to be just fine without Bron. Now, when you get to the playoffs, no. It becomes a different situation. You need him down there for different things, not just basketball play, but for strategy. You need him down there for that gravity. You need that. You need teams thinking about him. And if they ain't thinking about him, they're thinking about some of these other guys, and that doesn't work in playoffs. But in the regular season, yeah, man. Yeah. Because you're looking at some of these other teams, it's like the fullness of what we have without LeBron James. As we said, we can allocate some of those numbers to different guys and still have the same roster. Some of these teams have that going on anyway, to where they're not better than you if you remove LeBron James, because they did give so-and-so a bunch of money, and that's because so-and-so's other player got a bunch of money, and so therefore now their team is about as good as yours, and they ain't got no LeBron James. And so it's like we're going to run into some of those teams, and when we do, we should be able to flex on them because of what it is that we provide. with the fullness of our roster. So unlike the first half of the season, it's the complete opposite. This team is very well constructed for what it is that we're facing. And I don't think we expected Bron to play in all these games, and we knew we needed to win them. And I think we built the team knowing that. I think it's built for that. How high that ceiling can go without LeBron James, only it will tell us. Only the games will be able to be played out. But I'm telling you, if I was holding a controller and you told me I didn't have LeBron James, I still think I can beat a lot of these teams with this roster. I'm telling you, Anthony Davis and LeBron and Vanderbilt's length, and Beasley's ability to shoot, and D'Angelo, hopefully he'll be back very soon. I know he will not play tomorrow in Memphis. He ain't playing. So we're gonna have both him and Bron gone. It's gonna be tough trying to win that game. I don't know how we win that, but nevertheless we need to try. But when he gets back, and I'm telling you, Rui Hachimura, essentially what you're telling me is I get to play more players that I want to play anyway if Bron ain't out there. I get more Lonnie Walker. I got more Wenyen Gabriel. I get Max Christie a little bit. I get to see Devon Reed. These are players I want to see play. Devon Reed and Max Christie probably two of our best perimeter defenders right now. Whether we know it or not, part of me wonders if we shouldn't flirt with putting Devon Reed in the starting lineup at small forward just to see if he can actually defend as well as people say he can. Because if he can lock up some of these best small forwards, he can give us a dynamic without LeBron James that we ain't even thinking about. Now I don't know if he has any game on offensive end. I don't know if this makes any sense or not. But like when you start thinking about things, how can we find ways to lock people down? I ain't forgetting that this dude's a lockdown. Him and Max Christie, Vanderbilt. I wouldn't, It's impossible to know what makes sense. You know what I mean? You don't want to toy around with roster rotations. We already have problems with that. But for me, it's like when I think about the versatility of this roster, is essentially what I'm saying to you. If for some reason we just don't want to play a Troy Brown, we still got people we can defend with. If for some reason you just don't want to play Dennis Schroeder, you still got guards that you can use in rotation. Like these are the type of things that I'm saying that Bron's out, yes. But we have talent that needs to be run anyway. So this is not bad for the fullness of the roster. It's not bad for the fullness of the roster and what these individual players need for their individual situations. They need some playing time. A guy like Lonnie Walker needs playing time. Wenyen Gabriel needs playing time. Darvin Ham has their value at a place that ain't actually real. To be respectful, they're better than he's been playing them. Bamba, I can already see where this is headed. He about to completely devalue Bamba the way that he's starting this off. He got Bamba screwed all the way up. He's way, way, way more effective than he's being used, just like Wenyen Gabriel. Way more effective than he's being used. And I'm telling you, that's another player we need to work into the equation while Bron is gone. He's going to give us a significant amount of rebounds and shot blocking. And we can never use a shortage of rebounding and shot blocking. We can always use a bunch of that. So I just wish Darvin Ham believed in size like I do, man, because that would get us through all of this. This would get us through everything. And Rui Hachimura, Mo Bamba, Wenyen Gabriel. These are the players you would see all the time. You would never have too many possessions where you wouldn't see two or three of those dudes on the floor at the same time. Because for me, that's going to be it. That's going to be it. Rebounding and interior scoring, stopping the other team from getting in our paint and turning them into teams that have to foul. Turn them into guys that are backpedaling, fouling, pushing around, and ultimately not having any success against guys who are bigger than them. That is the easiest way to play the game, man. It's the easiest way to play the game. And Rob Pelinka knew that. That's why he gave us so many forwards and so many lengthy players, so many big-sized dudes. And it should not be difficult at all to run conventional position basketball and find all that you need. Essentially what I'm saying. Play everybody in their position and you'll have all you need. Because this team is set up for that. And so, yeah, man, that's what it is. I wanted to give everybody a little reassurance in regards to how I'm feeling about this situation without LeBron James. I like our team without LeBron James. I do. I like our team just fine as it pertains to being a team that can make the playoffs. We can make the playoffs. It's built to defend and it's built to score. It ain't built for LeBron to have to do any of the things that he's been asked to do for the last 19 years of his career. It's not. He is supposed to be able to get that team over the top to where they can win the absolute championship. But without him, they should still be able to do damage. That's what it's built to do. So I think that we'll see that team do that, and I think people will be rather surprised that we don't stop losing. We don't stop winning. We're going to still win. That shot blocking is there. The shooting is there. The slashing is there. The rebounding is there. What we need to find is the continuity. What we need to not have is long scoring drought stretches, which is just about who you're choosing to have shoot the ball, not necessarily your team's capability of scoring. And so that's what it's about. Is Darvin going to ask the right people to shoot? What type of plays is he going to have this great roster running? If he has the roster running plays that doesn't work, then you're going to look bad. And see, that's what it is. It's just like, who's at the helm and what are you doing? And so if the answer's, good stuff, we'll be fine. Because the roster should be able to do damage to whoever's in front of it, whether Bron's out there or not. So that's what I got to say. That is my thought. It's rough because I just hate being right about this stuff. I woke up this morning knowing that everybody was excited about having won the game, knowing that LeBron James' injury was very serious and that it was probably a good chance we would get some bad news about it, and I was right. How bad the news will be, we still don't know, which is frustrating, but at the same time, you just understand that this is what happens when you build this way, and you just wonder what this injury means for the Laker front offices and Jeanie Buss's overall belief in this core. You look at some of the videos that I made a year ago, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, when we were talking about blowing it up and talking about how, it didn't matter what we did. If at the end of the day, if these guys are too old or too broken to play, we weren't going to reach our goal. And that building that way was just, you're setting yourself up from failure from the start. I think if you look to where we are, I would say we did all that I would want to see the Lakers do. In that situation, my best possible outcome probably looks something like this. But at the end of the day, it still looks like this because this is what happens when you build this way. And sure enough, this is exactly what I said in them videos. This is what I said. I'm like, we could do everything right, but it's probably just going to get to the end and we just not going to happen. Go get all the way to the end and the team ain't going to be good enough or something like that. And it's because when you build that way from jump, you starting at a disadvantage. And when you do things improperly, you're going to get the results that come with doing things improperly, and that's what happened. Now, from here on out, the Lakers have done things that I think has set them up really good. From here on out, the foundation that we've found with these kids, I don't think there's nothing the Lakers hang their hat on it. Their head down about anymore. No reason to hang your head down anymore. The foundation I wanted us to find is here. The young players that can help us carry forth into the future without LeBron James is here. A team that complements Anthony Davis without LeBron James is here. A team that complements LeBron James without Anthony Davis is here. So it's a lot of different things that the Lakers took care of and made me feel real good about them. But that core, man. That core. I just don't know if I can co-sign the core anymore. I don't even know if it makes any sense to even have to now that Bron is out, because at the end of the day, with the way this injury looks, it could be one of them things where you don't have the option of having the king no more. And that's the worst case scenario, but at year 20, that's about as real as it gets. You're more likely to see an injury like that than you are to see the championship, to be honest. And that's just what we knew a year ago. We knew that, but we're also happy to be where we are. The path that got us all of this that we have may not have been great, but hey, we're happy to have the players that we have. We just want to move forward with them, and we would love for the core to be good next year. For us to have our our guys back next year 100%. But man, there is a world. There's a world, Laker Nation, where Jeannie Buss just says this is enough. And we've seen the last of number 6. Like, this could have been the end of it. And nobody's really absorbed that part yet, because we do think he's coming back for the playoffs. We do think we'll make the playoffs or something of that nature. But I'm telling you, there's a whole lot of scenarios where there ain't no path forward with us and King, because this injury just ended that process. So I don't know. You know, we just got to live with whatever comes next. But I feel a lot better about us right now than I did 3 weeks ago, and that's the most important thing above all else. Even if we have to go forward, and this is just my opinion, I know that a lot of people have different opinions about this, but even if the Lakers do move on from King James, as I'm saying clearly, I still like the team without him. I still like this roster. And if you replace King James with another superstar, depending on who that superstar is, we ain't going to skip a beat. And it just is what it is, man. You know, and that's what the Lakers are gonna have to assess. They're gonna have to assess that. You know, we got this far with the King. We got a championship with him. But as I said about 2 years ago, that's when you cut it off. If you're building to protect yourself from all that ended up paying itself out, that's kind of how you do it. You don't go forward with the older guy. You let him go on to wherever he's gonna go. You get your rebuild popping, and you jump ahead of that, and you make sure your foundation is strong. And then if he wants to return to you at a price that you like, he's not eating up as much as your cap, and you can afford to have these type of injuries, and they don't be a bother. But as long as the guy's eating up $50 million, $60 million of your cap, even when your team is good as we are, if he goes down, you don't have enough to win a championship. And that is what we didn't want to see happen. It's why I kept screaming, reset your timeline. You know, and we talk about the Clippers, and everybody likes to talk about how, you know, can Russell do it with the Clippers versus the Lakers? But this is what we're talking about. This is the essence of the entire point that people are going to either make or miss. Look, you know, Russell Westbrook playing for the Clippers is at $700,000 of their cap. He's the equivalent of the last player on the bench salary. He ain't taking away none of the talent on the roster. If he goes down, essentially they lose nothing. Now that's not actual, but as it pertains to the fullness of their team, they lose nothing. If he's at $47 million for us, entirely different situation. He goes down and he's taking Vanderbilt, the equivalent of Beasley, the equivalent of Russell. You see all these players we picked up in his stead that make up his salary? That is what you're looking at with LeBron too. That's what you're looking at because you didn't reset your timeline properly. You did not get these guys at prices that make a little more sense to you. And so when they go down, all hell breaks loose based on your roster and what it is they could have represented. Essentially what I'm saying to you is LeBron at $50 million, you remove him and replace him with like 8 or 9 different players. Look at all the different names that are possible. Not to say that you want to do that, but to say that if he's at a $700,000 pay price, you have all those other players on top of him. Which is what I wanted us to have going on with Anthony Davis, which is why I didn't want us to trade away Brandon Ingram and all those players that we did to get Anthony Davis. Because I'm like, man, we could just not wait a year and then just sign him outright. Maybe trade Brandon Ingram to make the salary make sense or whatever, to a sign and trade or something, but we would get Anthony Davis without having to give up none of them picks, none of them players, none of that crap. He's a free agent the very next year, and we mortgage everything for an extra season. And that's why this is why we're in the situation we're in right now. It trickled down to all this. It trickled down into the first half of the season where we had JTA and Kendrick Nunn and all these guys. It's because that's all we could afford. And so it's like, look, when you build this way, you're going to give yourself certain disadvantages. And when it plays itself out, even if you learn all the lessons and you get to the point where everything is fine, you're still going to end up paying for the initial mistake in the first damn place because it shouldn't have been done. And that's where we're at. That is where we're at. We're still paying for dumb mistakes that we made when we didn't know any better. And so that's how it goes for, in life. Sometimes I'm going through that in my own world, and I'm seeing that as a metaphor with my team. And it just is what it is. A good thing you can say is just like in life. We take the new habits that we've established, now that we know better, and look forward. See that the habits you're establishing now is going to give you the future that eluded you when you were making the bad mistakes that led up to this moment. That's how you have to look at it. We don't look back. We made mistakes. It is what it is. We learn from all of them, and now we're an expert at all the stuff that you don't do. So it's cool. We get it now. But we are going to have to assess the situation. Do we want to go forward with the king or not? At 39 years of age, coming off the foot and everything else. And I'm telling you, it's going to be hard after this injury. It's going to be hard to sell out. Yeah, it's going to be hard, man. I'm a believer. Kingdom won me over. That's the funny thing about it. When this process started, I wasn't on board like that. Now, I'm all in. I mean, I'm rooting for the king as much as anybody in the league. And that's what makes it tough. It's like, you really have grown to appreciate the player. But it's like, it doesn't take away from the initial process that you saw and assessed and clearly understood. It's chess. It's not checkers. You just don't build that way, man. It's a young man's league. You don't do that. You let somebody else find out when father time hits the old guy. And that's, I guess, the answer to the equation. How do you not find yourself in this situation? Let somebody else do it. Let somebody else do it. I'm sorry. That's what we learned. And I don't know how many other teams are in that situation right now, Phoenix. Do you understand what I'm saying? Kevin Durant's contract. Chris Paul's contract. But I think that's the lesson learned, man. You let somebody else do it. The aging superstar on the Supermax contract, gotta let somebody else do it. Because at the end of the day, even though he ain't found father time yet, he gonna find it in your uniform. And that's gonna be you holding the bag with that contract. And so I'm looking around, I'm like, look, this injury to LeBron James, if it goes the way it looks like it may go, it may change the landscape of how people look at things this way. Because it certainly make me look at it and say, I was right. And so, I don't think a lot of people were saying what I was saying, so they're going to be like, yo, this is a new thought. And it ain't a new thought. It's how they should have been looking at it. You just don't do that. What you want to do is the things that the other teams are doing. It hasn't manifested yet, but the Rockets, the Indies, the San Antonio, you want to do what they doing. You want to load up on as many kids as possible. Detroit, Orlando, even though Detroit's doing some things I don't really understand, but nevertheless, loading up on kids. You don't want to forego nothing, future nothing. You don't know what the landscape is going to be tomorrow, how much money you'll have to spend. You just don't want to get locked into no bad contracts. And you certainly don't want no old aging superstars sitting up making $60-70 million a year cap, messed up ankles and messed up arms or whatever the heck. No, let somebody else do it. So these are the NBA. These are lessons learned, and it's harsh when you speak of it this way. But I talk to LeBron James because I know he wants to be an NBA owner. You want to be an NBA owner, bro? You're gonna be on the other side of this. Straight up, ask Mike. It's only sad until it's you paying the bill, and it's a different kind of sad. And it's like, well. And so I understand that. I think Bron wants to own a team. I think he wants to be sole majority owner. And if that's the case, he's going to want to understand all these concepts. Let somebody else do it. You don't want the aging superstar. I'm sorry. That's the lesson learned. You get that championship with that aging superstar. Thank you, sir. Capped off. We appreciate your service. 2020. That should have been it. 2021, we could try it again. Let's see if it works. It didn't work. Now y'all talking about bringing in Russell Westbrook's contract at $47 million? Nah, maybe we need to just part ways here. This is when we decide to embark on our exit strategy. This is when you start the process of severing ties. You don't pull the trigger on the Russell Westbrook thing. You say we're in an impasse and we can't go forward. Because that's when the Lakers realize this has gotten too expensive for us. And that's when LeBron realizes they're not going to do what I want them to do. That's when it should have ended right there. Because ain't no way the Lakers should have signed off on Russell Westbrook. Ain't no hell in way. And so these are the type of things that led to where we are now. Wasted years. That was a healthy year. We did this Russell Westbrook crap. LeBron was healthy. We could have went after the championship if we would have had a real team. We threw that year away. And that's one of the things you think about when you think of sitting here in this moment with his foot propped up all hurt. You threw a year away with that Westbrook garbage. So these are mistakes that led up to where we are. We're happy because we got Vando and D'Lo and Beasley. That's what it's all about. We got a future with them kids, but it's going to be some hard days ahead when we have to sever ties with LeBron James because we just can't afford to gamble like this anymore. Just can't. Celtics probably going to win a championship this year. They're the best team in the league right now. I mean, this is just a nightmare, y'all. And we finally got a team that we actually think is good enough to actually get out of the West right now. And we just can't do it because of the same reason we always knew. Bron's my age, man. We can't do this no more. Born in 1984, man. We can't do this no more. And so that's what it is. That's really the gist of what I have to say. I hate to make it a pessimistic video, but that's where we are. You know, and my hope is that the 27-point scoring drought wasn't a prelude to what this team is really about. That's what I'm hopeful. We don't find ourselves doing brain dead stuff like shooting 83s and bricking all of them and then shrugging our shoulders like we couldn't score. Gotta be smart. Whether Bron is out there or not, if we're stupid, we don't win. So let that be. I think I'll end the video there, man. Let's just be smart going forward, learn from our mistakes as a team. And, prayers out to LeBron James for the best of news in regards to his foot, man. That's what I got. VDL 44. I thank you all for watching.